So for the first time in a very, very long time, I can sit here and confidently say that not only did Tottenham win on the weekend, but we actually played well. So here's some things that I noticed during the game that we should have a talk about. I think the first and definitely the funniest thing we need to talk about is the media narratives around this game. Like, this isn't new at all, but whenever anything even slightly goes in favour of Tottenham, it's so funny watching the media meltdown. It is crazy to see some of the things that people were saying, like, oh, actually, Aston Villa didn't play their starting full 11, so maybe we should do the game again. What are we talking about? Tottenham Hotspur haven't had a starting 11 since 2023. Like, let's not go there. And there are genuine human beings asking to question the integrity of the Premier League because Aston Villa have rested a few players. It's so funny watching people pretend this is a new phenomenon. No one in the history of football have ever rotated. But just to humour it a little bit, let's just look at some facts. Crystal Palace, when they played West Ham, rested loads of players in between massive European games. That's exactly what Aston Villa have done. And Aston Villa played 4 players that probably get into their first 11. Tottenham played 4 players that get into their first 11 also. And last thing, let's not forget that Aston Villa rotated by a complete choice because they're able to. Tottenham played that team because we literally had to. But with all this nonsense, I really do hope that it filters through to the players and they understand how desperate everyone is to see us go down. Everyone, obviously not including Aston Villa and the Big Six Mafia, as it called, who are obviously desperate for us to stay up for some reason. And be prepared for everyone to use that last point to completely diffuse the next point, but I really do think De Zerbi got it absolutely right against Villa on Sunday. And listen, hands up, I was very, very sceptical about bringing in De Zerbi, especially at this stage of the season. I thought the last thing that group of players needed was a stubborn coach stuck in very particular ways of playing. But Sunday, to De Zerbi and the players' credit, I really do think we look good. I could start to see the imprint of what typical De Zerbi ball should look like with the patterns of play and rotation, but it never felt overpowering and was met with that constant balance of actually profiling the players that we do have and how they can play. One of the first things I noticed on Sunday was Bentancur and Palhinha splitting wide in possession, picking up usual fullback positions. This completely disrupted what is usually a very narrow Villa press. Emery teams are known for their organisation, but they look discombobulated there. But more importantly, this allowed our fullbacks to play to their strengths too. This is a tweak on a blueprint that Ange created, and it's crazy that we haven't seen it since. And this is best summarised by Pedro Porro dictating from those central areas. He had the most attempted and completed progressive passes that game. The key takeaway for me in this system was nothing felt too complicated or too rigid. There was no player with any instructions that they couldn't do. Kolo Muani, for example, we know he's not a natural right winger, so De Zerbi understood the profile and played to his strengths that he could bring from that position. And honestly, this is the exact opposite of what I was worried about when De Zerbi did come in. I thought he'd be too structured and rigid, but I would love to be proved wrong. Right now I am being, so long may that continue. It's crazy that we've finally seen some adaptation too. This is something that everyone craved under Ange and was promised under Frank. But here we are in real time watching De Zerbi be the most adaptive out of all 3 of them. If he can continue to profile his players well, adapt to opposition and different game plans, game scenarios, while implementing his own style of football, then... And listen, we are far from out of the woods yet, but then there are some good things to look forward to, I think. And some final points to bring up has to start with Gallagher. He was immense on Sunday. Me personally, I have never doubted him. I've always thought he was a really good signing. In an interview he said him and De Zerbi have looked over his Crystal Palace and Chelsea performances and that's the closest that we've seen so far. I really hope that form can continue because there is an asset there 100%. I was also really impressed with Kevin Danso. I thought he was rock solid. He played in that more front-footed, aggressive Romero sort of role with Van der Ven sweeping behind and he looked good. And I have to give some credit to Richarlison too. I am nowhere near his biggest fan, but he really impressed me on Sunday. I think with limited instructions there is still a top goal scorer there. I don't want him on the left wing holding width or trying to link play up front. But when he's leading the press and being a general nuisance, I have to stand and applaud.